Hi guys, this is Ben from Ben's RPG Pile, and today we're going to talk about how to put a little paper in your D&D game. Paper sometimes gets overlooked as a option in your terrain days in terms of what you can select from. So there's some reasons why paper is a good thing. You can create paper fast, right? It's cheap to make. All you need is a printer, and everybody has a great printer at work, right? It's easy to store, nice and thin. There are lots of options out there on the web to print, and of course it's easy to manipulate. So I'm going to show you some different possibilities with paper for your next D&D game. So first off, we thought, well, we can buy Dwarven Forge, right? That's your BMW of terrain, right? Fantastic stuff. That looks just like lava. This is from their Den of Evil Hellscape set. This is great, and we ended up using this, but we needed like a long river, right? And this stuff, it is a little expensive, but you get everything you pay for with this. So another option was we would use some dungeon tiles, right? D&D's dungeon tile series, and this works great, but they don't have huge pieces, so that was kind of a problem. So another option we would have had we could have used Hearst Arts, right? I could have made some floors here and filled this in. There's some great examples on the Hearst Arts community forum. Some guys have made some amazing pieces, but pretty time consuming, right? So what we ended up doing was we ended up creating it on paper, and that's what you get here. This is a lava river, and you can see, and what we did was we printed out on a thicker stock, and then we taped it together, right? And we pressed this so it laid really flat, and that ended up giving us a perfect river for our module, right? And we built a bridge across the top, and that worked out pretty good. So you kind of go in your right. There's your Mercedes, right? There's your Honda Civic, right? And that's probably your Kia right there, right? I would think something like that. Not if there's anything wrong with a Kia. So. But that's a good example. I'll show you another example with some water. So water, not an easy thing to make. Very time consuming, leaks a lot, and sometimes you just need a river and a bridge, and this is something you could put together pretty fast, right? That's a bridge from a Miniature Building Authority, and there's our paper water template, right? It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. You can grid that up, and it's not that big a deal, right? Again, you could buy Dwarven Forge water. Fantastic. Look at that. It makes me drool. This is from their Cavern set. A little pricey, right? And no grid marks, which is sometimes a little bit of a bummer, but a still fantastic piece. So that's an option, right? You can Dwarven Forge, no problem. They've got the tile, right? But again, they just don't make water pieces big enough, which is a big complaint for me. But still, it works in a pinch, right? You can make your own water. There's our realistic water from Woodland Scenics. Great stuff, what I use all the time. That's a little dusty, sorry about that. And then I made my water, right? So I can make water without too much trouble. I noticed that it starts to evaporate, and this used to be much higher. But so I'll do that. But the best thing sometimes is just print out a piece of paper, drop it on your game mat. All of a sudden you've got a dungeon that's separated by the big river in the middle, and you can have your guys try to get across a bridge, right? That looks pretty good. You see the water through the bridge, so I think that's a nice option. Another way you guys can use water is you can take your printout, like take your grid, like so there, of all your water, and then you can, I got this idea from somebody on the YouTube channel, I think, but it's a great one. You can glue this paper to the back of your dungeon tiles, right? If you want to like show the room flooding. In our Ark of Souls Comic-Con, we had a room that flooded, the throne room flooded near the end, and I was pulling tile weighted to reveal the water underneath, but one of the guys wrote and said, hey, you should just glue the water to the back of a tile. So let's say they're in a cave here, right? They're fighting this guy to get the cache there, and what you could do is you could say, hey, this cave is starting to fill with water, and you could literally just flip it upside down like so. See? And you could you know, continue to do that after each round, right? And I've threw these together fast, but certainly you would have them cut. That's one of the tricky parts about gluing them to the back of tiles is you got to cut them just right. But again, in a pinch, right? That looks pretty good. Now you've got a water obstacle, and all you did was flip the tile over. That would make a great trap as well. So all of a sudden, that introduces a whole new mechanic into the game board. It makes it much more challenging, and it's something the players would never have expected. So that's another way to use water. Okay, guys, another way you can use the power of the paper is, here's an example. This is the map for Hall of the Crimson Whip. This is in Thunderspire Labyrinth. And I was really struggling with how I was going to make all the blood effects here. And certainly I could take my pieces like so, and I can make it, right? That's using that that water from Woodland Scenics, right? And it's not bad, but man, guys, it is it's tricky, right? So like I was making like my little blood river there, see? So it's definitely doable, but again, sometimes you don't have a lot of time as a DM, so you need to make something quick. So I'm going to show you what I did there. So this is my interpretation of the Crimson Whip. This is how I use paper to make the dungeon map. Again, always trying to go 3D, right? So you can see I took two pieces of 11 by 17, put them together at the seams there. I've got my bridge at the end, and in this, those two minotaurs are supposed to be big statues. Here, I'll zoom in here. The party starts off over here, right? See the depth that it provides, right, by using some type of paper surface for your map. So I've got real good depth there, right? And then I used these pieces right here, these walls, to cover up the little white seam I get there. I could have easily cut that off, but I don't cut very well, so we'll just cover them up, right? So now I've got walls in there. The Crimson Whip had penalties for the terrain, which is always great in a battle. You took 10 poison damage. You took a minus on your attack. All sorts of cool stuff. And then I put these guys in there. These guys would pop up in the water. Here, I'll just place it through a few in here so you can see them. But see, now I put some Carnage Demons in there. Right, those guys are pretty creepy. And that provided my monsters, which had concealment under that blood river. So see how I was able to kind of take that and make that, turn that into something just by using some paper. I didn't. That water effect stuff is really expensive. I would have used quite a bit in this case. I might even add one more sheet of paper, make this even a wider, longer piece. So that's kind of how I used paper for the Crimson Whip to, get me out of a terrain jam, so to speak. So guys, this is Fieldstone, Herstart's terrain. What's awesome about Fieldstone is it lets you create all sorts of little crevices and stuff, and it can actually make a great, unique floor tile. See how that's put on any type of backing, and then you can just cut away through it, and you get those holes, right? Well, with paper, you can put something underneath this piece, and then it'll actually look like frozen ice or water or blood or whatever, right? Fire or whatever you want it to be. So I did just a quick little example for you here, and see how I put that piece of paper underneath there, and now it's like there's some frozen ice or water within the cavern.
I live a simple life. I work all day, sleep all night. A couple kids need a nap, a big dog and a little cat. A wife that barks but rarely bites, so I live a simple life. I live a simple life. Good coat when the cold winds bite. Leather boots for my bare feet. Now and then a steak to eat. I pick with the boys on Friday night.